4 words. Bismillahi ar-Rahmani ar-Rahim. It's only 4 words. When you translate it into English, it's 11 words. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, very few people among my slaves and servants are the ones who are really grateful to me. And there are 5 pillars for gratitude. Submission to Almighty Allah, loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praising Almighty Allah, by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by using these blessings in the way that pleases Almighty Allah. This religion can be divided into 2 main pillars. Shukr, which is thanks and gratitude to Almighty Allah, and patience. When the child is asked by one of his parents to do something, he should know, or she should know, that she is doing this to please Almighty Allah, because when you obey your parent, you know that you obey Almighty Allah. And all messengers invited people to one message only, just to worship Allah alone. If you are really still not submitting to Almighty Allah and not accepting that Allah is the one who gives the soul and who takes the soul back, if you are capable after we take the soul, can you bring it back? إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. You alone we worship, and you alone we get support and help from. Ahibbati fillah, in one of the previous episodes, I talked very briefly about sabr, about patience, when I talked about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam with his son Ismail alayhi salam. This time I'm going to focus about the issue of sabr. This issue is so important in the religion to the level that some scholars would say that this religion can be divided into 2 main pillars. One pillar is shukr, which is thanks and gratitude to Almighty Allah, and the other pillar is patience. Patience is a very important issue in this religion. And let me talk about it first. When we talk about patience, we talk about something to be learned and acquired. It's not something that you are born with. So by إنما الحلم بالتحلم وإنما العلم بالتعلم. So when you want to be patient, you can learn this by practicing it. This is one thing. And again, it is an ongoing process. In other words, you don't need patience now, and after an hour, you don't need it. You need it now, and then tomorrow you don't need it. No, you need it every time, because there will never be a time that you don't need patience. So it's an ongoing process. So these are some of the two qualities of the many qualities of patience. You would find in the Quran many verses talk about sabr. إن الله يحب الصابرين واصبر صبرا جميلا وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها إلا ذو حظ عظيم. You find many verses in the Quran that talk about sabr. And scholars, they divide the issue of sabr. They say that we need 3 types of sabr. One type of sabr, sabr on calamities and hardships, which is Muslims and non-Muslims and every creature on the earth need this patience. You're just coming, you have an appointment, you come, you find traffic on the road, you are kept on the road 2 hours or 3 hours, you can do nothing. Without patience, you might get mad, you might get upset. So this is the easiest part of it. You need patience when you confront calamities. One of your family members dies, when you lose some money, when you lose some properties, when you get into more hardships in times of wars and times of troubles, and the whole world now is full of trouble. You might get, yes, some other problems from your family members, from your neighbors. There are some times when you confront difficulties and hardships, you need this patience. So this is one type of patience you need it at these times. And again, you have to get accustomed to it. You have to acquire it. The other type, and lots of people don't think of it, you need patience when you are doing the ibadah. Do not think that doing the 5 prayers every day, day after day and month after month and year after year until we die and we meet Almighty Allah, this is an easy thing. No, because the shaitan comes to us from time to time and tells us, yeah, okay, prolong your sleep today because you slept late at night. So take another hour or 2 hours, so you prefer sleep than the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to have patience. Yes, I slept at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but I have to get up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 or wherever you are, it depends. So you need to get patience to continue your ibadah. You need to get patience for fasting. Fasting is not easy. And some people who are not Muslims, they don't believe that Muslims can fast, can keep away from all these things that are halal. They keep away from food, they keep away from drink. Of course, I mean halal drinks. They keep away from sexual intercourse with their spouses during that period of time for a whole month. This requires patience. Without patience, we cannot achieve it. Look at the ibadah of Hajj, pilgrimage. When you are there, you need to be patient because you are under stress of the situations there, that they are very tough and very difficult, and without patience, you might lose your pilgrimage. The other type of patience is patience on ibadat, on ta'at. While you are even doing something obedient, to show obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you still need a lot of patience. And you see, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, talks to human being, when he talked to them in the Quran, said that وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, ask your family, your spouse, to make your wife to do the prayer. وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. Not only have patience, but have a lot of patience, because what? This ibadah requires a lot of patience. Some people might not have thought of this issue, but we still need patience on the ta'at, on obeying Allah. To keep yourself away from the haram issues, you require yourself a lot of patience. You see people around you doing some of the bad deeds. See people around you might be drinking. See people around you might be dating. You see people around you might be doing all of these evil things, bad things. But you want to control yourself. Without patience, you may lose it. The third type of patience is patience on situations when you make da'wah. When you invite people to do something good, when you invite people to keep away from something bad, to stop smoking, or to stop drinking, or to stop any of the bad things that they do, you need patience, because people would first respond. Most of the people would not respond to you easily. Some of them might be upset with you. Some of them even might put you into trouble. It depends on the situation that you are making da'wah in. When you're making da'wah, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Muhammad, وَاصْبِرْ صَبْرًا جَمِيلًا. You need a beautiful type of patience in order to get your message across and in order to let people listen to you. And again, that's why when we talk about Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, asking people to do good deeds and abstain from doing bad deeds, Alhamdulillah, You find here the first one, which is positive, asking people to do good deeds. It's much easier than asking people to abstain and keep away from bad deeds. When you see some people are doing something, it's easier for them to tell them, hey, come to pray together. Hey, let's go and visit this person because he's sick. Hey, let's get $10 or 10 pounds from each of you because we are going to make this important project that will help the community here. It's easier for them than if you tell them that, hey, isn't it time for us to stop drinking? Why don't you stop smoking now? Why don't you stop? Becomes more difficult. So it depends on the environment of da'wah, but it's still, you need to have a specific amount of a specific acquiring of this patience on making da'wah. So now let me briefly sum them up, how important patience is. And there are three types of patience. One patience is on the calamities and the hardships and the difficulties. And the second type of patience, which is even tougher than the previous one, which is patience on ta'at, the ibadah that you make for Allah, the good deeds that you make, you need patience on it. And finally, the third type of patience is patience on making da'wah and inviting people to something good, inviting people to this great religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it to all mankind. And remember how many difficulties Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam confronted in his da'wah. But the end result was amazing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Today I am going to talk about two seasons. There are two seasons in Islam that would make a big difference and big change and big transition in the behavior and in the improvement and in the quality of the ibadah of Muslims. If you are aware of these two seasons, which is the season of Hajj and the season of Ramadan, when you observe the behavior of people in these two, before and after these two seasons, you would find lots of better improvement and better changes in their lives. You would find people started becoming more sincere when they come from Hajj. Their religion becomes stronger and stronger. They start getting rid of the bad things that they used to do. They feel that as if they are fresh, as we say, fresh from the oven, as if they have new page. And this is true because when Hajj is made correct and accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the human being becomes as a newborn human being. You would find this also with the ibadah, with fasting Ramadan, because the common reason behind these changes is the intensity of ibadah. In the season of Ramadan, you would find Muslims doing their regular prayers, but they do it while they are fasting, which is another depth in this ibadah. So they add two ibadahs together. And more importantly, they do the night prayer, which is another ibadah. And because of these three ibadahs, and some of the Muslims, if not most of the Muslims, pay charity in this month, zakah, and of course all of them at the end pay zakatu al-fitr. So because of these ibadats that are made in a very short time, in a specific period, this shows us how the heart starts to change dramatically. By the same token, this is the same thing that happens in Mecca during the period or the time of Hajj pilgrimage. We would find that Muslims are busy, so busy, they have lots of tests when they enter into the state of Ihram. They're not allowed to cut their hair. They are not allowed to cut their nails. They are not allowed to do this and that and that and that. And at the same time, they have to do many rituals. Tawaf al-Qudum, the arrival tawaf, and tawaf al-Wada', the farewell tawaf. And they have to make the sa'i, and they have to sleep in Muzdalifah, and they have to spend the whole day in Arafah just seeking nothing except the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you have seen Mecca, you would see there is nothing there for entertainment. There is nothing there for fun. But the only reason for those people to go there and leave their families and leave their business and leave their children, just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Between 2 million and 3 million people every year, they go to that place, which is almost like a desert and some mountains there. And there is nothing there for fun or entertainment. The only thing that pushes them, that urges them to go there, is they seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these 2 seasons, you would find how important the issue of sincere as well as intensive ibadah are. And after the end of Ramadan, and after the people come from Hajj, you will start them to observing the people, and you see by yourself, by your naked eye, how much change they had in their behavior because of this ibadah. Because during these 2 seasons, especially, for example, about the month of Ramadan, you would find the Muslims reviewing the whole Quran, knowing all the halal and all the harams, and all the Quran is recited, and so they get a chance to also review most of the names and attributes of Almighty Allah. And also they listen to the stories of the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So they get all this comprehensive idea about how the world works, the stories of the past, what will happen in the future, what will happen on the day of judgment, how people will be after death, they will be in grave. This has great effect on their hearts, and that's why you see the changes. Also, they develop more trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the people go to Hajj and when they see the places where Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam built the Kaaba, where Hajar used to go to and fro these 2 places, Safa and Marwa, looking for drink water or food for her child Ismail. And when they see the well of Zamzam, the water coming from the well, since that time up to now, non-stop, they have more trust that the words of Allah that they read in the Quran, they see it in reality. And that's why they get this trust and confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The same thing happens for the people in Ramadan. When they listen to these verses, they listen to all verses of the Quran, especially some of the verses like, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Indeed, we are the ones. Here we refers to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as some people know that grammatically speaking, this is called the royal we. It expresses as when, for example, the queen or the king expresses himself or herself, she or he would say that, she would say, we are the Queen of Elizabeth, we are Queen Elizabeth, or we are King Charles, or we are King so and so. So this is the royal we. Here in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the royal we to show how powerful and how capable Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra. Indeed, we have sent the dhikr, the Quran and the Sunnah. And indeed, we are going to preserve it and maintain it from being changed. And they see it in practice in every mosque. Whenever the leader of the prayer, the imam, makes a mistake, whether he is in Japan or in Africa, whether he is in California or London, whether he is in Egypt or Mecca, wherever the people are praying, and when the imam makes a mistake, he is corrected immediately. Every Muslim witnesses this, and he feels more comfort and more confidence and more trust in Allah's words, because he sees by himself and herself that nobody has control over this book. And also they see how many people memorize the Quran, which is another way that shows us how trust we have in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, these two seasons, the season of Ramadan and the season of Hajj, particularly Hajj, Muslims experience unity among themselves. When you find approximately 3 million people or 2 million and a half or 2 million people only sitting beside each other, all of them from different countries, but all of them wear the same dress. You cannot distinguish a janitor from a king. You cannot distinguish a CEO from an employee. You cannot distinguish anyone because he or she has a status in that place. No, all of them wear the same. And all of them direct themselves to one place, which is Mecca. And all of them have one response, which is Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. Oh Allah, we are responding to you. We are responding to the call that had been made by Ibrahim alayhi salam. This ritual and many other rituals at the time of Hajj and the ibadah that the Muslims do, because of the intensity of the ibadah, Muslims start tasting how beautiful this religion is, and they become more submissive and more surrendering and more obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask every Muslim to experience this beauty when he or she goes to Hajj, or when he or she experiences the Ramadan by fasting and by doing Salat Taraweeh and the night prayer. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us more sincere, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept the good deeds from us and to forgive our bad deeds. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.